The Africa-Europe Diaspora Development Platform, ADEPT, is in the Gambia to evaluate Africa Center Ireland Diaspora Technical Support project activities. Their first stop was in Brikama. Brikama is one of the largest settlements in the Gambia with a population of over 200,000 people. It is the regional capital of the West Coast region of the Gambia and about an hour drive from the capital city, Banjul. Here, ADEPT and Africa Center officials met with a youth group called Youth Movement for Development. This group consists of over 150 Gambian youths.
The Africa Center and the Youth Movement for Development had meetings on the environment. The Africa Center's program has an environmental activity involved in it. So we are going to work with them in planting trees. The idea is that in the next 3 years, we are going to plant 2 million trees, which is the population size of the country. So they are going to be responsible of our West Coast region activities, but also they said they have already identified areas in the country that they are going to work with. So that's the area we are going to support them. But because they are also working with young people, and this include youths that have been returned, so our entrepreneurship program will also target those young people. So the idea is that at least maybe 50 people within the West Coast region will be targeted in their programs.
The importance of tree planting, cannot be overemphasized. It has a lot of health benefits, do you understand? Environmental benefits, you understand? That we cannot even exhaust. One of the importance of tree planting is to what? To absorb harmful gases that are in the atmosphere, which can serve as a threat as far as human lives are concerned. And as we all know, that the trend at which global warming is accelerating is just alarming. And some of these gases that are contributing towards global warming, are captured by plants. So if plants are not available, some of these gases will destroy the ozone layer. And if the ozone layer is destroyed, we all know what will happen. The ultraviolet rays of the sun will reach us directly on the earth, which can cause cancer and other health issues. And it can also, make the sea levels to rise, you understand? When the sea level rises, what will happen? There will be a lot of flooding, as we experienced this particular year in the Gambia. Because there are a lot of places that, were flooded due to the impact of global warming.
So ADEPT's mission is to amplify the influence and impact of African diaspora development organizations in Africa and in Europe. In so doing, ADEPT offers a set of tools and services. The Diaspora Technical Support is one of them.
Day 2 of the mission was a visit to the Ministry of Trade in Banjul. The team met up with the Permanent Secretary Hassan Jallo, and the discussion centered on the packaging of garden products and possible exportation for higher income for the women gardeners.
I think during the setup in 2018-2019, we had a series of meetings with the Ministry of Trade. The then Permanent Secretary Lamin Damva was very instrumental in supporting us to identify key areas that we can intervene in the Gambia, especially in youth employment, because employment is under the Ministry of Trade and Employment, but also they are actually in charge of the training of young people on entrepreneurship, but also to diversify like a training in the Gambia where young people can not only be employed but also be employers and set up businesses. So for that being the case, I think it was very important for us to go back to the ministry and said we are set up, and then these are the activities that we have done, just to report back, but also identify new areas with them. And in line with that also, we went to the National Assembly as well, because we actually went to the National Assembly and met with the majority leader at the time.
Later the same day, the team had a meeting with officials of the Central Bank of the Gambia.
Yeah, the meeting with the central bank was very fruitful and interesting. At the same time, these are the meetings that we would be engaged in the next 3 years during our program with the central bank. We also realized that because it's about diaspora, and then the interesting thing about the Gambia, as we see this year, last year, 2020, 50% of the GDP is coming from remittances. Over 500 million was injected into the GDP from the diaspora as remittances. So that's the reason why we visited the central bank and talked to them. But also as Africa Center, because of entrepreneurship development, we are interested in leveraging remittances for SME development. So we discussed that with the officials at the central bank to see how we can facilitate that. And that led us to the area of data collection. So Africa Center and the central bank will work together in terms of data collection, but also how we can leverage remittances to SME development in the country. But interesting thing, when we were there, we also discussed about the role of the African Institute for Remittance, which the Africa Center sits on as a committee member for diaspora engagement in Europe.
The Gambia is one of the African countries which are dependent on the diaspora remittances. In 2019, the share of the remittances from the diaspora in the GDP was around 20%. Following the COVID-19 crisis, today this share is around 38%, almost twice the former rate.
From the central bank, still in the capital city Banjul, the team visited the National Assembly. There, they had a meeting with Honorable Sidi Ajata, the Honorable Member for Wuli constituency and Chairman of the Assembly's Foreign Affairs Committee.
We talk about the challenges the government is facing, but also the opportunities to solve those challenges as well, where we as Africa Center can come in and implement projects in terms of youth employment, but also target areas in the urban areas that most of the young people who are migrating are coming from.
That's why the government recognizes Diaspora to be the 8th region of the Gambia. That has never happened in the history of this country. We have never recognized them even as Gambians because they have never been voters. Now we are thinking of them not only as Gambian, but also Gambians who have a right to participate in the processes in this country. Not only that, but to also be represented directly or indirectly by people of their choice. Maybe if you come here next year, you may find some diaspora representatives here. Maybe about 7 or 8, 5 or 7 of them would be representing the diaspora in the parliament.
Day 3, the mission drove to Kafuta village in Kombono district of the Gambia. It is 2 hours drive from the capital city. There they met with women gardeners who venture into gardening in order to make money for their children's school needs.
The Africa Center was fortunate enough during this DTS to visit the Kafuta Women's Garden. It's an interest for us because this falls under our livelihood program, which we want to develop, targeting women to grow vegetables, but also to form cooperatives. And the idea is that we will bring them together whereby they can grow vegetable at a large scale. We work with them on standardization, packaging, so that they can, the produce can reach European markets to export them. First of all, this will give them more money in terms of growers, but also revenue for the country, because at the moment, the Gambia's revenue is highly dependent on remittances. So we are not actually getting a lot from the agricultural sector, which is on tap. And then we want to develop that for women and young people so that they can grow more cash crops that could be sold outside. And then we will work with them in the next 3 years.
Ali Sow is a native of Kafuta and lived in France for a decade. He now returned home to invest in gardening.
the diaspora, we have a lot to contribute, like traveling outside. You've seen a lot of new things that are not here. And then when you come back, these are some of the things that you can do to change your communities, like in a very sustainable way. Like one thing is like you cannot give everyone money, every family, but one of the things that you can do is to support community initiatives, like the farm that we were. We support them, work on the water system, and give them fertilizer, and also link them to markets, like because we know people who want some of these things from the urban area.
There are many ways in which they can play crucial roles in the development enterprise, because we have a lot of skilled people in the diaspora, people who are well educated, people who are experienced in many things, and of course some of them have money. You know, any one of them who wants to come back it should be possible for him or her to come back to work in this country. And any one of them who has money and wants to invest in this country should have the doors wide open for him or her to come and invest in this country. These possibilities are, some of them have already seen this and some of them are already undertaking it. There are a few of them who are coming back, and the hope is they want to take part in the development process.
On day 4, the mission visited the Department of Community Development in Banjul.
The Africa Center is hosted by the Department of Community Development, which is under the Ministry of Lands and Local Government. The Africa Center is practicing a model that is the public-private partnership, the PPP. And the Department of Community Development is hosting us, giving us an office. But we are going to be working with the Department of Community Development in terms of their staffing. The Africa Center is not interested in having a lot of staff, but because they are actually working with the MDFTs, which is the multidisciplinary facilitation teams. So these are the people working on the grassroots, and that's where our activities are going to be carried out. But at the moment, the Africa Center is based in Banjul. Our main office should actually be in Brikama, the Department of Community Development there, which is the regional office for West Coast region. At the Department of Community Development in Brikama, they also have an appropriate technology unit, which is going to be used for our environmental projects, where potters and blacksmiths will be trained to make improved cooking stove. And this will be rolled out around the country, whereby we are going to work with other regional offices as well, which are the community development offices, to actually have this appropriate technology roll out in the villages that they work with.
A good practice of Africa Center that I would like to highlight and which could be easily replicated in other countries is Africa Center played its role of the bridge between the diaspora and the country of origin by matching the diaspora competencies with the needs of the ministries in the country of origin.
On the final day of the evaluation, the mission visited Department of Community Development Brikama office, where Africa Center should be housed. At this location, Africa Center will access good number of youths, as Brikama is the regional capital of West Coast region, the most populated region of the Gambia.